Hi everyone, this is Jorge from Herrera Studio, and I'd like to make a video today for you to have a roadmap from start to finish of how to build a project. This is going to probably cater more to the residential client, but I'm going to keep it very general and bullet point for you what are the things that you need to make sure you're checking off, what are those steps for you to go all the way from idea to completion to where you're occupying the building. So we're going to first bullet point what these are, and then we'll get started on giving you a bit of explanation of each one. Number one, you're going to need a land survey, boundary survey, topo survey, the different names depending on how much information is on there, but you need to have that. Number two, we're going to check your zoning and know what your zoning classification is. That's the second checkbox. Then, once you have those two checked off, you go to number three, you come to us, you come to the architect, and you begin the design process. Once design is developed and you have enough information on those drawings to get you a price, put it out for bid. Step number four is bidding and awarding it to a general contractor. So under four, you want to put general contractor, winning bid. Number five is apply for the permit. Number six, and part of number five is getting that permit from the city. Number six is you break ground and you start your build. That's actually a key point in all of this. Number seven is the inspections by the local building department. Number eight is your certificate of occupancy. We'll explain what that is later. And number nine is your certificate of completion. So you want to make sure you have these things as a checkbox. Each of them have many things that many steps within them, but we're going to try to give you this as something that if you have no idea, you've never built before, this should help you identify where to begin, or even perhaps identify where you are in the process, where you may be somewhere where you need to backtrack a little bit. So number one was land survey. Sometimes this is called a boundary survey or a topo survey. So a topo survey is going to have topography on it. There are tree surveys. The topo survey sometimes have trees on it. Basically, it is a map of your land that shows us measurements, boundaries, setbacks. There's a lot of information, but it gives us a map of the property that we are going to put this project on. So we're going to use the example of a brand new house, just to have something for reference. This survey will tell us that maybe the street frontage is 100 feet wide and the lot is 250 feet deep. And then we're going to know how much we have to come in from the sides. So the setbacks, there's a front setback, a back setback, but it's also with the survey. On that survey, it should say what your zoning classification is, because it's not just whether you're residential, it's residential at what density. So all that information is going to be on that survey, and it's very important we have that, or at least some version of that. When you bought your property, you probably got something. It may be an old fax that's blurry, which may need to be updated, but it may have just enough information for what you need. Number two then is your zoning. So once we have that survey, we can probably look at what the zoning is on that survey. But what you want to really do is go into your city or your county website and put in your address and look up your folio for your property and see what currently is being zoned for that property, for that lot. You know, I've had clients that bought a property a few years back and now the zoning may have changed, sometimes to their benefit. I've had clients who bought a property not knowing what the zoning was, not being able to then put the project they wanted to on that lot. So it's important to really know, even perhaps before you even purchase a property, is know what the zoning classification is to make sure that what you intend to put there can indeed be put there. If it cannot, or if it's a different zoning, then we're going to go through what is called the variance process. And perhaps I can get you a video on what the variance process is, what it means, and how it could work. So once you have your survey in hand and you have your zoning identified, you can now go to the architect. The architect will grab that information from you and have a conversation with you as far as what the project will entail. We're going to use again the residence, so we're going to say this is a new home. It's going to be a 2-story single family, and the architect will work with you through schematics to get you some floor plans and elevations. And the architect's going to take that all the way to the point where we can get some pricing for you. And what we call that pricing set is something you can then put out to bid and have general contractors bid. Usually this is a almost complete set of plans. It may still be missing the structural engineering drawings. It may be missing some information, but it's enough to get you some comparative bids. And so now we move on to step 4, which is putting these drawings out for bid. You want to do at least 3. You want to go out to at least 3 contractors, and that's just kind of a general rule. Even contractors themselves will bid out to 3 different subs. So for example, you send the contractor your drawings, they make 3 copies and give those copies to 3 different plumbers or 3 different window manufacturers. And then they get back those 3 bids, and then they make a decision based on that. So that's how you get your winning contractor bid. Bringing the contractor in as early as possible is a great thing because it helps to finesse the project to your benefit. But it also may be too early for you to really pick the best contractor. So if you went to the contractor first, that might be a good thing in the sense that they will be able to inform budget in that project. So the traditional method is first the architect, he or she gets drawings all the way to the pricing level, and then you put that out for bid. That is a traditional method. If you bring the contractor in early, that's what sometimes is called design build, where it's hand in hand, and there are benefits to that. I say it really depends on the project. Then number 5, once you've got that contractor identified, you've awarded him the project, the contractor will apply for permit. So in some states, the architect applies for permit. Architects can do that process for you. Homeowners themselves can do the permit application process as well. But typically, what I'm used to is seeing that the contractor handles the permitting process. And I think that's best, in my opinion, because they will also handle all of the inspections that have to be scheduled through the city. So if they've got that login info and they're the ones in contact with the city, it's easier for them to then schedule inspections and things of that nature. It's good for the architect to do it because architects can follow up with comments the city may have for you to resubmit certain things, pieces of information. So it may be a little bit faster for you if you have the architect do it. Then you've got your permit in hand, and with your permit you can start to build. So that is a key milestone, is when you start to build, and you are now basically in the construction phase of the project, which is very exciting. So number 7 is going to be when you start scheduling inspections. Depending on the project, depending on the jurisdiction, inspections will be different. When you get your permit, you should be receiving with that a list of required inspections. So for the residents, for example, it may say we want to see the site, excavation of the site first. They may want to see when you've poured your foundation, what that looks like. I've worked some parts of Florida where they want to see the reinforcement of the foundation before you pour the concrete. You can take photos of the reinforcement bars, the steel rebars that are in the foundation. So just in case, if you're in a jurisdiction that's not as strict, you go and pour your concrete. Now they come back and say, hey, we need to know what's in the concrete. You've got pictures. to relate to, that you can show what otherwise you're having to chase down structural engineers to write a letter, all kinds of stuff. So photographs are very important throughout this build process, documenting everything that's inside of the walls and inside of the slabs and all that. So usually it's the foundation, the rough meaning, you've got your framing or your CMUs are up. There's basically no drywall yet, right? There's no roof on it. There's no drywall. It's a rough inspection. And the same is going to happen for like your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC. What you call rough is just, it's not finished yet. There's no drywall. There are no fixtures. And some jurisdictions will just break it up into two. So it's just all the rough inspections are probably compiled into one, and then all the finish inspections are compiled into two, and other jurisdictions will break it up into step by step, and they may have even different inspectors. One inspector may come out to inspect your plumbing and electrical, and another one may come out to inspect other parts of the project. So you need to know what that looks like in your permit. The finish inspections will be basically once you can, turn on faucets, fixtures are in place, your outlets are in place, obviously the space is air conditioned, etc. So the city's going to give you something at some point, what's called the final inspection, and you're going to get what's called a certificate of occupancy. The certificate of occupancy, aka the CO, means that the building can be occupied for its intended use. So that means that if you have a home that you built or an addition that you added, the city has determined that it's to the point where it can be lived in. In other words, it's a home. It's intended to be a living place. So its intended use is now good to go. So if you have a restaurant and the intended use is to cook food and serve food, the CO means that you can open your doors and operate for its intended use. It's not to be confused with the certificate of completion. The certificate of completion, which comes as step 9 for us, is where the contractor says we're 100% complete. Here's your certificate of completion. Sometimes that could mean it's the final payment that you're getting from a bank loan in your construction. But this is different. So the certificate of completion, you want that to come after, and I will tell you why. When you occupy your building, you will notice things that you could not have noticed if you were not using the building, if you were not living in the house, if you were not operating the restaurant. And you're going to create what's called a punch list. The punch list, which should probably be one of these check marks on here, is basically something where you are making a list of things you have found that the contractor needs to remediate. Maybe there's a faucet that's not working the way it should. Maybe there are some scuffs on parts of a wall that need to be corrected. Maybe there's some warped baseboard. All of these things. You want that to be part of your punch list, and these are things you're going to notice in those first 2 to 3 weeks that you're occupying the space, okay? Then the contractor will take care of all those things, or will tell the subcontractors to take care of all those things, and you sign off saying it's all been taken care of, and you've got the certificate of completion. And us as architects can assist in helping you achieve that. Obviously, we can help you achieve all of these steps, but we can also be your advocate in saying, yes, this needs to be done correctly up, to the drawings. If you were to do the punch list and all that with the excuse that all these things are under warranty, you're going to not have had the opportunity to really notice everything because you're not inside the building. So don't let certificate of completion or the punch list come before you're occupying the building. That is just my piece of advice. Start to finish, idea to completion, those are the 9 steps. Feel free to comment questions, subscribe to our channel, and we will be adding more videos like this. If you liked it, if you liked the content, please do hit like, feel free to share and follow, subscribe so that we can get more of these videos and information out to you. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.